Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe here with another Tuesday analysis. Today we're going to be diving into another one of the new dual faction keywords introduced in Armored Elite. And today we're talking about the Aquos+Darkus one, Sync. So what Sync is when it's an additional effect that asks you to reveal a card that fulfills some sort of criteria from your hand, and if you do, you get a bonus effect. So yeah, if in the case of a sync deck that's like fairly like uniform, like sync effects that are fairly uniform in what they're asking for, or like a lot of stuff can like, like you have some cards that can fulfill a lot of your sync requirements, then this is a keyword with a lot of potential. But as we're gonna see, that is not what we have with this first batch of sync cards. So, before we get into things, we're going to talk about the dual faction cards that are not really sync related. First up, we have Darkwater Ambush, 3 cost, draw 1 and choose a player to discard a card. This is just too much for what it's doing. Like really surprising to see it cost this much on a dual faction card. Like we have like 1 cost, like Inspire, and in this very set, Carapace Spin, that cost 1 to draw 1 and do an additional effect. And on the other hand, we have Chaotic Darkness in Darkest, that's 1 cost to force your opponent, choose a player to discard a card. So an effect like this you would think would only be 2 at most, but no, it's 3, and it's really perplexing. I don't understand. I really do not understand. And the other one is Darkest Tsunami. This is 4 energy, plus 500B, plus 5 damage. It's complete garbage. Neither side of this is buffing you to a really significant degree. And like this sort of like for this sort of like half and half effect to be good, it needs to be a lot more efficient. Like at the very least be 3 energy, but should probably be better than that. Alright, so moving into the sync cards. So we're going to notice some problems, but before we do, there's one card I want to talk about. I want you to keep in mind as we go through the sync cards, okay? So, this card is Shaolin Busch. Shaolin Busch is 3 energy, plus 5 damage. If another card causes you to reveal this card from your hand, give a Bakugan plus 2 energy, and plus 2 damage. So obviously the intent here is that you reveal this from your hand with a sync effect, and then you get the bonus damage, which is not a great effect, but it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea. With B power, that would be really, really good actually, or draw. Like that could have a lot of potential there without being too OP in my opinion. But let's get into it. So first up, we have Aqua Kinesis. This is probably one of the best sync effects because of how well it fits into reroll spam decks. So Aqua Kinesis is 1 energy plus 200B, and sync reveal a card that costs 1 energy, specifically 1, not 1 or more, 1 energy, to reroll your Bakugan. So obviously a lot of the reroll cards you're using in reroll spam decks are 1 energy, so this is effectively another Dark Waters if you wanted one. So this one is actually pretty easy to proc, and I could see this being pretty splashable. Though honestly I'm having a bit of trouble finding space for it, considering Tempest Generator becomes a 0 cost reroll that also gives plus 100B and plus 1 damage. And it's a negatable. Next up we have the Mono Darkest action, Max React, 2 energy plus 2 damage, plus Shadow Strike, and Sync reveal a card that costs 2 specifically for plus 5 damage. 2 energy is a much rarer cost to be running into, and this card is like just kind of a worse version of stuff we already have. Like we have a Sacrifice card that was from set 1 that's basically this. We have Cloak and Shadow if you really wanted a Shadow Strike action. That gives more damage naturally because like this sync effect is a bit hard to activate. What else? Oh right, from this very set we have Scorching Swords, which is effectively free permanent Shadow Strike and gives plus 100B and plus 1 damage. So like a lot better options than this, to be honest. Dual card actions, we have Corruption, which is draw 4 cost to draw 3. And Sync, you can reveal a card that costs 4 energy, which is really, really rough. That is a real big ask. And if you do, your opponent drops a card. This is not awful, but hard draw cards are not great if they're not giving you continued value In a hand control card deck, I could like set 1 style hand control deck. I could see this working, but now in a post-Darkest Combo world where we can mind step and force our opponent to drop 2, it's really difficult to justify this. Dark Rain. This is 2 energy, plus 4 damage. You may reveal a Bakugan gear card in your hand for plus 400B. This is again one of the better Bakugan Sync cards, but like it's really not great because ultimately you're only getting plus 400B, which is par, and plus 4 damage for 2 energy and a condition attached. And like this would be a lot better if the normal mode was plus 400B and the sync effect was for the damage. But it's the other way around, which hurts it a lot. And like on par gains are not really cutting it if you're not like some sort of like on par gains are fine if you're a permanent buff like an evolution or a gear, but if you're doing something else. But if that's all you're doing, then it's really not going to be enough most of the time. We're going to skip the hero for now. Fade Ninja, Baku Rider. I honestly should have talked about this at the beginning, but this is the card that will make Sync an archetype if it gets cohesive conditions. So Fade Ninja Baku Rider is a dual action, Darkest Aquos, 3 energy, and when you reveal a card in your hand, your Bakugan gets plus 300B. So every time you activate a Sync effect, you're able to get an additional plus 300B, and that has the potential to be really, really, really high value. If Sync as a keyword ever gets to a point where you can have a deck with a bunch of Sync cards that will go off consistently, this is going to be extremely powerful. So for this reason, keep your eye on this. But with the current design trends of Sync, I am not hopeful. I am not hopeful at all. Maybe by the end of 3 sets, they'll be forced to give us enough that we can make a cohesive deck, but... Vortex Posture, 3 energy. Sync, when you play this, you may reveal a card in your hand that costs 5 energy or more for plus 500B. It's plus 100B and plus 3 damage. So I've talked about this card before. It really helped that Sync is like one of the like ones that are easier to fulfill because it asks for a cost or more. Now that those are very high costed cards, but if you're running like a deck like say around Ventus Lupithion, which became a lot more viable thanks to the Tusk Guard rulings that just came down, then you're going to have lots of cards that can activate this, and bada boom, bada bing. It also works well with Bakugan like Aquos Maximus Trox Ultra, which really only want a gear temporarily and want to be able to, like without losing too much, put something else over top of that gear so I can get when a gear is played on me bonus again. And this works very well with that because it's 1 energy. This is one of the only good keyword gears because its keyword effect is about gaining B power rather than gaining damage or paying an obscene cost for burn damage like the other ones are. Moving on to our evolutions, we have Aquos Nilius for 5 energy, 1305. Viktor Sync, this reveals a 5 cost or higher card from your hand for plus 10 damage. This is not awful, but it's a very high cost with, I feel, not high enough B power to justify it. Overall though, like this is effectively 15 damage, like as long as you have the condition fulfilled. And it's 5 energy itself, so it could fit decently well into a Lipithion deck, abusing Tusk Guard and Inhale Suplex, because like its evolution itself will fulfill the conditions to play those cards for free. And those cards will in turn activate his Sync effect. And lastly, we have FourDarkest Titan Feral. This is a 5 energy evolution, 1205. It evolves from a 605 base form with a Helix, which is pretty solid. But 5 energy to gain 600B is really, really bad. And its Sync effect is when this opens, you may reveal an Evo in your hand to gain damage equal to that Evo's. Which is decently cool, but it just does not in any way make up for like the big cost for only plus 600B. This would be a lot better if, like, say, you reveal an Evo and you gain, like, I don't know, like some sort of B power, like I don't know. Maybe getting B power equal to its how much B power that thing had would be a bit much. But maybe like based on its energy cost, like you get 100 for each energy it costs. So that could be pretty cool. But as it is, it's just more damage gain, and what it does is just done, like, I feel significantly better by Titanilius. Like, sure, you could use this for Might Max shenanigans, but there are cards that do that way, way better than this does, so, like, I have a really hard time justifying this, yeah. So, you may have noticed that through all of those, we didn't hit a single card that could activate Shadow Ambush. Well, there is one card that can activate Shadow Ambush. It's the mono faction keyword hero of Sync, Lightning Tail Chaser, which is 3 energy, and that's a big cost for what this is going to be doing. Sync, you may reveal a card in your hand with the same name as a card you played to draw 1. So, the only way to activate Shadow Ambush's effect, which is very clearly supposed to support Sync specifically, because I don't think anything else can even activate it, the only way is to play another copy of Shadow Ambush, which, by the way, is below curve. It's below curve. Like, it's plus 5 damage for 3 energy in a faction that is usually getting damage gains above curve. And if you do that, and you have Lightning on the field, which, as I might remind you, is 3 energy for a draw effect that is far less consistent and abusable than Shun BR. If you do that, you can reveal another copy to get plus 7 damage for 3 energy. Wow. Wow. Well, you're drawing a card too in the process, but still, that's really, really bad. And like, this gives me so little faith in Sync as potentially being an archetype at any point in the future, because that's just so bad. Now, one thing I do want to say on Lightning Tail Chaser is that if Sync ever becomes a true deck, which would be, of course, off the back of Fey Ninja Baku Rider, this card could actually end up being really, really abusable with that card, because it means that whenever you play a Sync card, you're able to get 2 procs of Baku Rider for that one play. Now, if you were going to make a deck around this, it's a bit difficult with the Sync cards that exist right now, but I feel that you would go Aquos+Darkus Sync so that you could run Chaos Strata to reduce the cost of both of these cards to 1, because trying to get them both on the field otherwise is a bit of a big ask, but if we're making both of them 1 energy, that becomes really, really easy to do. So yeah. Sync is something that I really, really like to be good, because like I like the whole idea of the mechanic, and Fey Ninja Baku Rider is a really, really strong and really cool archetypal card. But as it is right now, it's just not really solid. And there we go. We're at the amount of time one would expect. So with that said, this has been Hunter Search of the Brawler Cafe. Not signing off yet. Next time we're going to be talking about Trifecta. So, hope to see you there. And with that said, this is Hunter Search, signing off.